Joe Rogan used to be the biggest anti-establishment voice in the world.
You've done zero research on this. You haven't looked into it at all. You're telling me we know all the animals that are in the world?
I asked you for evidence.
This is evidence.
A guy saying something is not real evidence.
Sure it is.
No, it's not. You're telling me stories.
I'm telling you
Stories suck. They're great for campfires.
But recently, his audience has started to notice that something is very wrong about what the podcast has become today.
Everybody does.
Which people?
Countless.
People?
Huh?
What are you saying?
What do you mean people? You talking about
What are you talking about,
black
dog?
folks? What
No.
are you saying?
I don't know what you're saying.
I don't know what you're saying.
I don't know what you're saying.
Okay.
Let's not draw conclusions.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Since the start of 2026, Joe Rogan's podcast has lost around 800,000 viewers, and the most recent videos are filled with endless angry comments accusing him of being a compromised sellout. Even his own subreddit has turned against him. The tipping point for many of his fans was how he treated Theo in their last 2 episodes together. Theo infamously came on with genuine energy and emotion, talking about mass surveillance, conflict in the Middle East, and societal corruption, clearly looking to discuss these difficult and disturbing topics with someone he trusted. And if you watched this video we did on Theo before, you'll be well aware of how freaked out Theo is about these issues. But Joe spent both of these podcasts pushing back against Theo, constantly changing the subject and diverting to awkward jokes.
How much longer does Israel let us stay alive, do you think? That's the big question.
Why are they...
What did you say? Is that AI?
What are you saying?
That's Sora?
What are you saying?
I didn't say anything.
What are you saying?
Huh? Don't want Israel Adesanya.
Oh, well, he loves you. Don't worry about it.
Good call.
What are you saying, son?
Yeah,
So
was it so
what
much
did he
fun?
say? What did he say about the Epstein files?
What did he say?
Let's hear what he said. He looks great.
So that's what made me start to think, oh, none of these guys are really on a side. There's this other third side that a lot of us can't see that is just kind of commandeering or fabricating or like infiltrating both sides.
If I could hum a song right now, I'd hum the Pink Floyd song Money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's what they were protecting, that
Cheddar. That cash, baby.
protecting that cash. I mean, look how many people are fucking moving out of all these states that are trying to impose wealth taxes. They're trying to steal money from the people that are the most successful.
Framing wealth inequality as stealing from the successful is one thing, but that had literally nothing to do with what Theo was trying to discuss. It was like Joe couldn't bear to validate Theo's concerns for the world. Instead, it ended with this.
But what also, it's like, it's all just a cat and mouse game. People are like, we'll elect the Democrats next time. It's like, but it's all the same shit has been happening forever. They haven't been helping anybody forever. They're letting politicians slurp on kids. All of our fucking money goes to Israel and they're using it to fucking genocide people. It's like everybody is scared out of their wits right now. It's like our religious leaders are afraid to speak out, and it's like it's a time where it's like Satan is amongst us and our religious leaders are talking about bullshit at the poll. It's just like, what is going, I don't know, man.
We got to get you off those antidepressants, son. You're losing your fucking marbles.
You think I am?
Come hang out with us. Just chill out.
I'm here.
Rather than engaging with Theo's points or supporting him as a friend, Joe just outright says he sounds insane, referencing his medication as the reason for his anxiety about the state of the world. But before we continue, I want to tell you about our video sponsor Chat LLM by Abacus AI. You see, if you use AI at all, you probably know how it feels when you have ChatGPT in one tab, Claude in another, Gemini in another, and then you're paying for each single one of them separately. This really adds up fast and it's such a hassle to deal with. But Chat LLM just puts them all in one place. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Grok, DeepSeek, every major model and one login. And one of the best features about it is Root LLM, where you can type your prompt and it automatically picks the best model for that specific job. So you're not just sat there guessing which AI is actually good at what. But it's not just chat. You can generate images and full videos in there with the top models. They just add the newest ones the moment they drop. You can also write and research, build an entire presentation, even spin up a working website or full app just by describing what you want, all without any code. There's even a humanized feature that strips the robotic tone out so it sounds like a person wrote it and not a bot. And the whole lot is just $10 a month, with one subscription instead of 5. So check it out at chatllm.abacus.ai. That's chatllm.abacus.ai, link in the description below. And the community response was brutal. Remember when Joe had a spine? Keep going, Theo, we got you. This is like the Truman Show when he finds out even his best friend is lying to him. Joe shutting down and mocking Theo for making very valid points should be the title for this one. Using Theo's use of antidepressants to gaslight him was such a low blow, and it was profoundly eye-opening. Joe Rogan, who's dedicated 1,500 episodes to alien conspiracies, won't even talk about Palantir and Israel conspiracies for more than 5 seconds. 2013 Joe would spit in this Joe's face. So Joe eventually apologized to Theo in a later podcast.
So I wanted to do this because, well, number one, because I feel bad. And whenever I feel bad about something, and I felt bad all weekend, I feel like I have to address this, where I just want him to be okay. A very unusual and very amazing person. The last thing I'd ever want to do is hurt that guy. And the last thing I'd ever want to do is say something that would have people think about him in a negative way, which I'm sure I did. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video.
Specifically for referencing Theo's mental health struggles in another podcast episode. This apology was actually not in its own video, it was tagged on at the end of the episode with the billionaire Marc Andreessen, who is one of the world's biggest financiers of AI surveillance and drone warfare. And there was something really bizarre and kind of insensitive about apologizing to Theo in the very same episode he lets a billionaire openly advocate for mass surveillance, transhumanism, and sympathy for the elite class, all the things that Theo was rallying against. Joe seems to love to push back against his friends, looking for an honest chat, but he can't bring himself to challenge the powerful people that got us in this situation in the first place, even when they're right in front of him.
So everybody, I see this with my 11-year-old right now. Like everybody who grows up now is going to have AI as a augmentation, companion, capability, superpower, right? That they're going to have. Where all of a sudden they have their own capability, and then they have this enormous other additional capability. And every time they need to figure something out, or every time they need to fill out a form, or every time they need to make an argument, or every time they need to try to just figure out a course of action, all of a sudden they have the ability to tap into this resource that can really help them solve just an extraordinary number of problems.
This Marc Andreessen is one of the biggest funders of military drone programs. So why did Joe never ask Andreessen about the drone program during this episode? Not even once. Instead, they went on for hours misrepresenting the critics of mass surveillance and AI, lecturing the public about how the billionaire class is treated unfairly, which clearly represented a major conflict of interest, as not only does Marc Andreessen have huge financial investments in these industries, he's also an advisor to the CEO of the AI company Perplexity, which is actually one of the biggest sponsors of the podcast. It's why Joe has to use it constantly on air to answer questions, although his community says he's selling out, but this doesn't necessarily mean that Joe is doing this on purpose. Maybe he really is just unaware of the topics people bring up on his podcast. I mean, that's certainly consistent with how this conversation went with Theo Von.
Dude, in Gaza, there was a lot of I think it was a experimental grounds for a lot of insane new warfare type of possibilities.
Well, a lot of it was traditional missiles, right?
Yeah, but there's a lot of like we had a doctor one time podcasting, and he was saying that there were bullets that had gone down a child, just crazy.
Shot down, from a drone that's above them?
Yes, something in the air. And he said that there were drones in the air all day. There's that Palantir company just keeping tabs on everything that was happening. And
Palantir's involved in Gaza?
Palantir was involved in Gaza, yeah.
For sure? Mm-hmm. Put that into perplexity.
It would suit Joe to be oblivious to this, considering the billionaire behind Palantir, Peter Thiel, has in fact been a guest on the podcast. Joe's even been to his house not once but twice, and has a very friendly relationship with him. Which begs the question, is Joe intentionally protecting him?
The humans are on the way out. I know a lot of people hate it when Peter Thiel says it. Peter Thiel is a terrible person, he's evil.
Do you think he is?
No. I think he's just telling you the truth. I think he's, when they said, do you think human beings should survive? And he had this long pause.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And then the interviewer was like, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. You think human beings survive? Which is not how you're supposed to do an interview. Well, at least not how I do it. I would let him talk as long as he wants. If you watch my podcast I did with him, is these long ass stammers where he's like, everything he does, he wants to be very careful before he answers it. So he wants to consider what he's saying.
This becomes even stranger when you realize that Peter Thiel was one of the early investors in Spotify during crucial rounds of raising funds. Spotify is of course the same company that offered Joe Rogan the $200 and $250 million contracts to host his podcast on their platform. There's no way to know for sure if these are relevant connections, but it does go to show how all of these same repeat guests are somehow linked through the same people, the same companies, the same industries, and the same power structures. But that's only scratching the surface of these bizarre connections. Peter Thiel is an alarming figure not only for the military AI and surveillance programs of Palantir, but also for his connections to CIA funding, his obsession with the return of the Antichrist, and his infamous belief that all industry should be monopolized. Not to mention his possible friendships and connections to Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein even described Peter Thiel as a great friend. They met in person multiple times a year, and Epstein invested $40 million into Thiel's venture capital fund. Epstein also actively pushed Thiel's rising political influence. Now, Joe did bring up Epstein during the podcast, only for Thiel to downplay the involvement of foreign intelligence agencies and Epstein. Seemingly at the moment, there's no public witnesses that allege Epstein worked for the CIA, but there have been multiple witnesses to say Mossad was the key player involved in the operation, including Victor Maria Farmer, Epstein's business partner Stephen Hoffenberg, and the ex-Israeli spy handler Ari Ben-Menash.
I went down all these rabbit holes. Was he, working for the Israelis or the Mossad or all this sort of stuff? And I've come to think that was very secondary. It was obviously it was just the U.S. If you're working for Israel, you don't get protected. We had Jonathan Pollard. He went to jail for 25 years or whatever. And
but unrelated, right?
Understood. But if it was an intelligence operation, the question we should be asking is what part of the U.S. intelligence system was he working for?
This episode was the perfect opportunity for Joe to push Thiel about Palantir, mass surveillance, Epstein, or transhumanism and AI. The list of topics his audience wanted him to ask was near endless, but instead the podcast episode seemingly fell flat. Yet it's not just about Peter Thiel, far from it. After the physicist Lawrence Krauss came on the podcast, he later tried to personally introduce Joe to Epstein via email, and Joe rightfully rejected this, calling out he had no interest in ever meeting Epstein to begin with, which is something most celebrities can never say. And then there's the celebrity doctor Peter Thiel, who constantly messaged Epstein and routinely gave him medical advice. In the files, he emailed Epstein saying, "The biggest problem with becoming friends with you, the life you live is so outrageous, and yet I can't tell a soul." He was on the podcast 2 times in the last year, and yet the topic never came up. In fact, Epstein wasn't even mentioned once. But of course, there is valid discussion to be had about if a connection to Epstein means you were complicit in his crimes, and the short answer is obviously not. Just because all of these guests are connected to Epstein doesn't necessarily mean they were involved with any of the crimes, but the real question is if they knew something was up. Just look at what Cindy McCain said about how everyone around him knew exactly what was happening.
It's like everything, it hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing, but we had no one that was, legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him. For whatever reason, they were afraid of him.
These were the moments that Joe Rogan's community thought he would start asking the tough questions, as he was now face to face with the very establishment he used to rebel against, the establishment that tried to destroy his life many times over. His fans assumed he would call out the corrupt forces of the modern world live on air, as he'd done this for almost a decade previously. But weirdly, it never happened. Instead, unlike the old Joe Rogan, he would routinely invite this elite group onto his show just for hours of friendly chat, with many people wondering if it ever occurred to Joe that maybe these people aren't his friends. Maybe they have alternative motives for getting a direct line to his millions of fans. But it's not as if people haven't tried to warn him of this.
Didn't you get invited to have lunch or something, dinner with Peter?
Yes, I said no.
Did you?
I said no. I'm a little wary of that circle of people. And I'm not saying there's anything inherently evil about them, because obviously there's people in there. I don't know that I want to go to a dinner with someone who's going to talk endlessly about the Antichrist.
But yet you'll go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, of course.
And perform.
Of course.
I've been to Peter's house twice.
Yeah.
I went once with dinner with Eric Weinstein. I forget who else. And then the second time he brought me in because they were going to have lunch with Eric Von Daniken.
Oh, the guy, the Chariots of the Gods.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. And I know so much about that. So I was asking him all these questions.
I'm sure he's a very nice guy. Like Peter Thiel. People that
nice
know
guy.
him
I've
go,
had
he's
him
a
on the
nice guy.
podcast.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
I get invited to a lot of dinners and a lot of things. And what I try to do is I try to say to myself, I need to be able to criticize people and make fun of them.
Right.
So, it felt like really weird to go to this guy's house and then shit on him the next day.
Do you think that's part of the strategy of inviting you to go to places?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most likely. But it doesn't work because I can't shut my mouth. I can't shut my mouth. So, I mean, I've said things, people in my own family get mad at me because I can't shut my mouth.
Yeah.
So it's certainly not going to work. If you're a billionaire invites me somewhere, it's not going to work. So then you're probably going to have to kill me, and I'd rather you not.
The biggest warning wasn't recent, it was way back in 2020 from his close friend Duncan Trussell. Now it seems almost prophetic.
You're in a really brutal position. Like, and no matter what, I don't see how you can resist it. Like, the problem with your position is you have this, like, powerful voice. That's the problem, is like you're a signal booster, and like
I also got a NASA suit and I can hold my piss for 4 hours, son.
it's a deeper point, man. And I don't mean to do this every time I'm on, but you have such a crazy power that if you're not careful, folks from deep, dark wells of perspective are gonna infiltrate your shit. Dude.
When you look at how his content has changed over the years, it's no wonder his audience feels betrayed. Conversations have been dumbed down and sanitized, the range of guests has narrowed, even entire episodes have been deleted. Now fringe and alternative voices are in the minority. In their place, he's hosting government agents, powerful billionaires, and Epstein associates as regular guests. But not to grill them with the tough questions his audience wants answered. More often than not, these episodes are shallow, friendly conversations with the very people Joe once fought against. What was once a platform for stoned conspiracy theorists, with a huge range of weird, interesting ideologies, is now just a tiny group of polished elite guests that just give the same talking points every single episode. It seems clear that one of the moments that could have influenced this change was the Spotify deal, when over 300 hours of content was deleted from the catalogue over a period of 2 years. Infamously, one of the biggest targets of this takedown was Alex Jones. He was wiped from both Spotify and YouTube, likely meaning he will never return to the podcast ever again, even though he had some of the biggest podcasts in Joe Rogan history, with some episodes gaining over 10 million views, which seemed like a crazy slap in the face for everyone who thought his podcast was free from censorship and curation. Back in the 2000s, before the deal, Joe was constantly warning about censorship and media suppression.
Dangerous towards the marketplace of free ideas. The marketplace of ideas it's extremely important. And I would think that if anybody would know that, it would be the people that are involved in tech.
You would think so.
Yeah.
Even so, there's no smoking gun for Joe Rogan being a compromised asset. In fact, overall, Joe Rogan has been one of the most important people, taking down the media and legitimizing independent creators. But for many people, the real turning point was when the UFC's Dana White revealed how he pushed Joe to endorse Trump in the 2024 election.
If I understand, you called Rogan as the campaign between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump was winding down. You called Rogan, I think, and you said, "Are you going to endorse or not?" What happened?
Yes.
Tell me about that conversation.
I was flying to Mar-a-Lago, me and Frank Fertitta, for election night, and he had done the podcast, and the podcast was blowing up, pulling huge numbers. And I texted him and said, "Are you voting for Trump?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Then endorse. Why have you not endorsed him?"
What did he say?
He said, "I'm just busy. I'm this, I'm that."
I'm busy.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm busy?"
Yeah.
Please. Yeah. So what happened?
He endorsed.
You think, so that was you. It's on you.
Is it on me?
But you gave him the extra shove.
Yeah, well, I had been working on him for a few years.
"I had been working on him for a few years" certainly seems like an odd way to put it. And this pressure has clearly worked. Joe has visited the White House on multiple occasions, once for a tour and an executive order photo shoot.
You're at the White House all the time now.
I've been there a couple times. Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird. It's also very weird because as much as people hate Trump and hate his decisions and hate what he's doing and hate how he talks, and my experiences with him personally have always been fun, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for everybody else. Like, if he likes you and you're on his good side, he's a fun guy to be around.
Yeah.
He says a lot of fun shit. The man loves America. He genuinely does. He really does. Like, he wants to make the White House look better. He wants to build this ballroom because he has good intentions in terms of America.
On this podcast with Cameron Hanes, he tells Joe what may seem obvious relating to the executive order on land ownership. That these photo ops are more about getting public endorsements from influencers rather than actually trying to help the country.
You don't remember the Epstein files where all the influencers had the binder?
Well, it was Pam Bondi.
Yeah, but
and there was there was a few other influencers.
But
right?
they can use people like us for their messaging. And then they invited me back again after. Now I've been pretty critical of this administration just because I care, and it's just like I don't have to agree with lockstep with the person I voted for. That's our right as citizens to be like, I voted for that, but I don't agree with this, and I'm not happy about this, and I want you to know. And Trump signed an executive order, something about public land, and all it was a pomp and circumstance photo op to get executive order. Nothing has happened to it. Nothing has happened with it. No action's been taken. It was like all it was just they could make a press clipping out of it.
Theater.
It sounds like the exact same situation with Joe's visit to the White House, when Trump signed an executive order for ibogaine usage in treating veterans for PTSD and opioid addiction. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with endorsing a politician, but what was strange is that just 2 years before the election, Joe said he didn't endorse Trump and would never try to help him. And that's not the only political change that has happened over the years. Joe was almost always apolitical. He didn't really take sides with specific parties, but instead specific policies. He was pro-weed legalization, free speech, gun rights, heavily anti-war and skeptical of the government. He was also fully on board with many popular conspiracies at the time, and due to his podcast, many people learned about new things in the world, new perspectives, new truths that would never be told by the mainstream media. He even released a whole montage on his official YouTube channel in 2014, which lays it all out clear as day.
This society is so greedy, we're willing to go to war. We're willing to go places and send these big metal machines that kill people and people up just so we can make more money. And the way our society is set up, I mean, I've heard it argued, and argued successfully, that our society runs on war. You know, it runs on the domination of the other parts of the world. And literally, that's the only way you can control a gigantic chunk of the globe. You have to keep everybody down. You know, and that's what our society is based on.
Cut to today, and Joe is making excuses for the war in Iran and the various corrupt actions of the establishment that flies in the face of what he used to believe.
What is this, Jamie?
The gold beeper gift that Netanyahu gave to Trump.
That's hilarious. Jesus. He gave him a beeper. That's pretty gangster. That's right up there with the auto pen picture replacing Biden's picture.
That's wild.
That's pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
It's not cut and dry. Like, look, I'm the last person that thinks we should go to war. That regime is spooky.
Clearly, some of the principles he had in the past have been changing. The problem is, those are the principles that made him so popular in the first place. It was why the mainstream media would do everything they could to silence him. It was his motivation to discuss topics that were censored by everyone else. So it's not really surprising people feel weird about the podcast direction. Just look back to his 2013 TV show, Joe Rogan Questions Everything. It aired during the golden era of the podcast and was an all-out quest into everything conspiratorial. It explored UFOs, psychic powers, and transhumanism as he traveled around America, interviewing experts and theorists. It was the perfect representation of all of his beliefs and his view that you should always question everything the mainstream tells you. But even this had a prophetic taste of what was to come.
I'll tell the government right now, tell you right now if you're listening, NSA, CIA, I'm available, okay? If you show me all the real wreckage, I swear to God, I will make fun of that crap to the end of time. I'll make up stories. I'll lie to my mother. I don't care. You show me a UFO, I'll lie to my mother.
All of this is making his fanbase speculate if he himself is somewhat compromised. Obviously, there's no way to truly know this, but it is becoming undeniable that his guests have major conflicts of interest that extend directly to Joe himself, including in the way he thinks. Today, his transhumanist beliefs have completely changed and sound like a carbon copy of the tech elite's narrative.
One of the weirder ones that people think this is a stupid take, but I don't care. Jesus was born out of a virgin mother. What's more virgin than a computer? So if you're going to get the most brilliant loving, powerful person that gives us advice and can show us how to live, to be in sync with God. Who better than artificial intelligence to do that?
Wow.
If Jesus does return, even if Jesus was a physical person in the past, you don't think that he could return as artificial intelligence?
Oh my God.
Artificial intelligence could absolutely return as Jesus. Not just return as Jesus, but return as Jesus with all the powers of Jesus.
Yeah, that's what Lucifer, I think, is, a plasma ball of inverted souls, which they're going to tell you is Jesus, and it's not, by the way. Anybody telling you that a man-made AI Jesus is a Jesus, I mean, that's a Luciferian. That's how you spot him, so you know.
Then I'm a Luciferian, because I've been telling people that.
Well, you hang out with tech people, and you probably beam it in your head.
No, it's just a silly idea that I had. The silly idea is that AI is going to make better versions of AI, and if it just keeps doing that, ultimately it's going to be like a god.
Do you know what they believe? In the future, an AI is God?
Oh, that's my religion.
Yeah, it's called Luciferianism. I don't know if you know that.
I don't really believe that, folks.
Well,
just get it together. I think God was already here.
Yeah, but I would say it's likely that it already was. But these maniacs think they're going to make a god.
But maybe Joe has been in this game too long. Maybe he doesn't want to always ruffle the feathers. Maybe it's exhausting having a family, all the money in the world, and still, after decades, trying to go up against the mainstream establishment. And of course, the audience will always project their own idea of who Joe is, to the point where the vision bears no resemblance to the real person. The only inevitable result is the fanbase will feel betrayed that the person they thought was real never existed at all. The infamous journalist Hunter S. Thompson once commented on his fame.
I'm really in the way as a person, and the myth is taken over. And I find myself, in an appendage. I'm not only no longer necessary, I'm in the way. It'd be much better if I died. Then people could take the myth and make films. But I have no choice. I have to solve this problem. So I suppose that my plans are to figure out some new identity. I have to kill off one life and start another one.
Joe, it's just weird because it's like you're like a.
But it's not me. It's what they think I am. It's who they decide I am.
Yeah, but you have to watch out because people are gonna like try to exploit you. That's the main thing. Is like people recognizing what you are, who have political agendas, will infiltrate your and then start blowing out their radioactivity into the world. Right? That's a fear.
Like radium, like face rotten.
Yeah, exactly. Like they'll get in there, and then like all of a sudden, like you accidentally start exhaling shit.
Throughout all of his career, Joe Rogan has been led by his innocent curiosity, which is by no means a bad thing. But his audience is a clear and open target for those looking to influence society, and the people he now surrounds himself with are the very establishment he used to say were the problem with society.